My name is Lauren Beach. I am an elementary education major. I am hoping to start out with 2nd grade, but I also want to get certified to teach pre-K through kindergarten, pre-K through 1st grade. And I also want to go back to teach high school English, so honestly, I'm just hoping to teach every grade. And though this application is not great for when it comes to pre-K, 1st, maybe even 2nd, it is a great application for kids that are older. That's why I chose it, because I always had fun as a student throughout those grades. So it may not be the best for pre-K through 1st grade, but it's a great application if your kids are old enough and have the means to play it. As for Dr. Keller, I do have a note at the end of this video on why this is formatted the way it is. Please bear with me. This is the best I could do. I promise. As for my presentation, I'm going to begin. So, on this screen, we have Kahoot. This is what Kahoot looks like if you search kahoot.com. It's a little bit bright and it's a little bit overbearing, but that's okay, because typically, as a student, you will never see any of this. And I'll get into why later. As you can see, we have 5 things up here. We have join game. This is what students will be using the most. Make. This is what teachers may be using unless you can find a pre-made quiz for whatever you need it for. Present. I don't know what this one does. I'm not going to find out now. This is like my 15th take. Learn is where you can go find quizzes to play on your own, because though this is an application for teachers to present on the smart board, students to bring out their own devices, you can use it on your own, but I will get more into that later. And discover, I clicked on that, I'm not clicking on it again. So, you can buy it, but honestly, you can use this for free. You don't need to subscribe as far as I'm aware, and even then, it's pretty cheap if you were to use it on a daily basis. But my teachers have never complained about paying for this before, so we're not going to worry about that right now. So, for my presentation, like I said, I'm doing Kahoot. The strengths of Kahoot, it's fun and interactive. As a student, I never had any issues with it. I loved playing this game. I'd be so excited when the teacher would bring up Kahoot. It's a great way to review if students already know the material, and I'll get into that later too. It's possible to use it on your own. You don't have to have a big smartboard to present it on. You can just grab your phone and you can just play the games on your own. As a student, it's really easy to use. I have used it a few times as a quote-unquote educator. I've never had any issues with it. It's great. You can find what you're looking for very easily. You can review it before you put it on the screen. It's great. It's easy. And anyone can make a quiz, so that means there are tons and tons in the database for Kahoot. So if you're thinking of something, honestly, unless it's catered specifically towards your curriculum, you can find a quiz that someone else has made and you can use it. Weaknesses. As I was saying, students don't typically use it on their own. I have been in school for 15 years now. I have never once used Kahoot on my own just for fun. It's not very engaging if you're a student and you have free time and your teacher allows you on the iPad or Chromebook. You're not going to go to Kahoot. But that's okay, because in all honesty, that's not what Kahoot is for. If students were to get on Kahoot by their own, you can't guarantee that they'll do an educational quiz. There are so many quizzes of different things like Disney princesses, quotes, cartoon characters. It can be very distracting if you do allow students to go on their own, so I would never use this as an application where I'm telling students to go learn something. And it's not a good way to learn on a daily basis. It's not awful. If you want to learn a few fun facts, you can certainly use this application. But otherwise, it's not a great way to engage students with new knowledge. And typically, if you were to host a quiz, it does require previous knowledge of subjects. It won't explain things to you on your own if you're an educator hosting this application. But as I'm going to get into the individual use, it does explain things, but it's not good for learning. It's just good if you were like a kindergartner and you're curious, but we'll get into that as well. So, if we go to Kahoot, we're going to learn, self-study, study, play. We can find whatever we want. We can find, we'll do this one, animal roles, ecosystem, and so if you were to play it individually on your own, and this could be an example of how it would look for a student if you're playing it as a class, but typically it would have just the question, and then students on their screen, they would have these 4 options: triangle, diamond, circle, square, and they would be presented with a question and they have to pick one. It's like the same format as if you were to host a game. But for individual play, because I cannot host a game right now because I have no one else to play my game, tigers play a key role in the health and diversity of their habitat because they are top predators. It's correct. Move on. And then it'll give you, this one chose to give you a explanation of why. Since there are so many quizzes out there, you cannot guarantee that it's going to explain it at the end. It's honestly just a gamble. I think this one actually is made by Kahoot. And then explains that to keep the population of animals like deer and pigs in check, they're predators. For example, certain animals can also be a habitat for a species. True. And as you'll see, there are options to not have 4 options. You can just do the 2 options. You can just do true or false, which opens up a lot of availability for reviews, because sometimes you do have true and false reviews on your exams. True. Anyway. And then, like I said, it explained this one too. I think this one will explain most of them. If we go into a different Kahoot, like I said, here's an example of something that is not quite educational. This application also has an option to check all that apply. I have never seen this as a student using this in the form of education. I don't know if this is an option for classroom play, but for the sake of individual play, it is. But as we see here, this one is not educational whatsoever. So, overview. Kahoot's fun. Kahoot is fun if you're a teacher and you have 15 minutes at the end of class and you want your students to review for the next upcoming quiz. You want students just to have a good time. You want students to work together. It is competitive. Another weakness I forgot to note. I'm so sorry. This is like my 20th take. Students can feel a little bit discouraged if they keep getting questions wrong. And as an educator, you won't have any way to know which students are getting it wrong, which makes it a little bit difficult. So this is just more, it's genuinely just review. Like, I would never use Kahoot to teach my kids a subject. I would never use Kahoot in the middle of a lesson. I would only use this, and I have only ever used this right before a test or right before an exam. Like, genuinely right before or the day before. So my experience, Kahoot is a 4 out of 5. It's not a 5 out of 5 because it's not great for individual use. You can use it. I know you can, but honestly, as a student, I've never been like, yeah, I'm going to go on Kahoot and I'm going to learn something new. That's just not what you use the application for. But also as a student, whenever my teacher would pull up Kahoot, I would have a great time. I would always love it. I'm a very competitive person, and I win as a competitive person. And I've never had anyone in my classes, because there have been students I've noticed that have struggled with it. I've never had anyone be disappointed for Kahoot. It's a great way to encourage giving out small prizes at the end for the first, second, third place. It's a great way for students to work together because there are team options. And that is all I have to say for Kahoot. As for my note on why it looks like this, I don't have a webcam on my PC. And I can't use the application on my phone for Zoom because then I would just be tattooing the screen like this, and that's just not fun for anybody. I'm so sorry. There's no way for me to use this application dual-side my presentation either. I promise I did the best I can. If you deduct points for this, if I have to redo it in 2 times, I understand completely. I tried it in the library. It was not great. This is what I could do. If this is incorrect, please just let me know. I will redo it. I will go to the library. I'll suck it up. But for the sake of this video and presentation and my 20th attempts, this is what I'm submitting. I'm so sorry.